Hello, joined again by Laurie-Ann, the only Laurie-Ann, as we get ready for another episode of Lunch Talk, a part of our Contagious Leadership series. So, Laurie, we have 80 days left in the sales work year, okay? Exclude weekends, exclude holidays, 80 days left. And 80. I think that's pretty interesting. 80, okay? What can be done in a short amount of time with this particular secret this is the change. This is the big game changer. And we have Coach Kevin back again, always by popular demand, but he's going to be sharing something pretty awesome. And Laurie, we're going to be doing some work live.
Great.
Right here. Yep. Live right here for everybody to watch. So anyways, you guys, listen, we are glad you're here. Again, let us know you're here. Drop a hashtag live in the comments. We're going to be right back with Coach Kevin, and we're going to get right into it. What's the one secret and why we can make this happen right now? Like we're talking today, immediately make the change to 10X any level of growth, personal or business. You ready, Laurie?
I am. And
all
excited.
Right. Donnie, roll the intro. We'll be right. Coach Kevin, welcome back to the show. We're glad you're here.
Happy to be here. Yeah, happy to be here. Happy to be here.
Awesome. Audience loves it. Can you hear him?
Oh, yeah.
I can.
Oh, he's like, I can hear him. All right, so September 1st, Coach. All right, today is September 1st. And as I mentioned, we have 80 days left in the work calendar. That's 80 working days to hit any type of career goal, especially when you are working in the standard work environments, all right? And I mean, I think there's about 126 calendar days left, but I wanted to really break this down because I wanted to give people no excuse, because I think you have something amazing to share, and I want to get right into it. I believe, Coach, that the one thing has a lot to do with stories and a story we tell ourselves. You want to get into it? Let's just drop the secret right now and let's just get right to work.
I'll just break it to you guys gently because you know how gentle I am. The number one issue, like the number one thing you could do to unlock your full potential over the next 80 days is stop believing that everything you think is true. We are amazing. Like human beings are amazing. The most amazing thing that you do every single day, you don't even give yourself credit for, right? The most amazing thing that you do I don't even know you. Like whoever you are, I don't know you. But I know the most amazing thing that you do every single day is take all 5 of your senses, assimilate that into a reality, and then you just do it all the time. Like you're here, you smell what you smell, you taste what you taste, you feel what you feel, right? You see what you see. Like you walk around just you turning your head in a circle like this is amazing. Like you are better than the most incredible supercomputers on the earth. Like that's the truth. But since we all do it, we totally discount this. But we are constantly creating our own reality every second of every single day. Like we just are, right? Like there's actually a table here, but my perception of it is created by me. Like I see the color black, I feel that it's hard, but it's kind of cool. So because it's got this like cool finish on it. Like I create my own reality all of the time. Now here's where this gets complicated. Some of my reality is created by what? My mind. Right now, my eyes, I can believe most of what I see with my eyes, although in a second, I'm going to show you how that's not even true. Right. But my mind, I'm thinking about it all the time. Like I'm thinking, I'm having sensations, like feelings in my body. I'm observing with my five senses what's happening around me in my environment. And then I'm just making stuff up. I'm thinking, I'm having thoughts about it. And I thank God I do, right? My mind's a powerful tool. But remember, my hand is a powerful tool, but I don't let my hand run my entire life. My mind is a powerful tool, just like my hand, but I don't let my mind run my entire life because it's just a tool. It's just one thing. And when we start thinking that everything we think is the truth, especially in today's social media age, when there are any number of artificial intelligent bots out there just to figure out what triggers you and to give you thoughts that are going to make you buy products. Like imagine there is the most expensive technology on the earth is designed to get you to scroll a little longer to have another ad play so somebody makes money and hopefully you buy some shit. So when we believe our thoughts, we got a real problem because we start to manufacture our reality as a reaction of what's going on around us. Here it is. The economy's terrible. Like that is the biggest story, right? Like it just is like we're in a recession. We're headed to a recession. We're going to World War III. We're out of World War III. Who knows? Like the reality is the story has the power because if I start to act as if I'm in trouble, right? Let me give you like a really practical example. I've been married for 12 years. Right? I mean, technically I've been married for 24 years of my life, but this marriage, second time around, the good time, the last marriage, 12 years. If I had a graph of my feelings about that marriage throughout the 12 years, it would be all over the place. Right? I mean, I'm committed to this marriage. It's amazing. It's the best thing that's ever happened to me. And there are these moments where I'm just really down on it. If I believed every single thought I've ever had about my marriage would be horrible. Would be horrible. We have thoughts all the time. So let me slow down for just a minute, let you guys get something in, and I'm going to do some things to show you why believing your own thoughts is maybe the fastest way to be ineffective, unhappy, and broke that there ever has been.
Let's bring it.
Oh man, that was your part for like the color commentary. You missed your intro. That's right. I'm just gonna keep plowing. Right?
No, yeah. I mean, right. Yeah. Go ahead, Laurie-Ann. Right now, I'm trying to catch up. I'm trying to write notes. I said, so bring it hot, and you brought it.
As an audience, remember, like someone who's watching this right now, think, what do you see, right? You see a beautiful Laurie-Ann. You see a less beautiful Rigo, right? And then you see me on the screen. We all have these really cool microphones, right? And these microphones are taking the sounds of my voice, right, into the microphone through the internet. No, actually, you know what? This is like a $600 prop. This isn't even plugged in. Like it just kind of looks cool hanging here, so I hang it. I mean, it's a real microphone, but it's not plugged in. But your mind has stitched together this whole story. And once I take you down that path of, yeah, my voice is, I mean, there is a mic here, don't get me wrong, but it's not this one. In fact, it's a cheap $40 mic. The $600 mic I don't even plug in. I don't know. We'll see. One day maybe I'll get it working. But the thing is, guys, like you're creating your reality all the time. Just what I just did to you is little, tiny, no big deal. Now you're wondering, like, is Rigo's real? Yeah, I can tap on it, right? I can't tap on it because it's not plugged in. But there are 1,000 details like that inside of your business, inside of your family, inside of your fitness, inside of every aspect of your life that you're making an assumption. You see something, you assume you know what it is, and you just move on. The problem is most of your assumptions are not real. You just made them up. And so when you start trying to build a business on top of things that are made up, shit doesn't work very well, right? That's the reason we rely on KPIs. That's the reason that we look at the books, we look at the results, we measure what we did, we measure the return on investment, all of that stuff, right? Life is the same thing, but if we're in a fantasy land to begin with, imagine if you ran your business this way. Let's pretend there's $1 million in the bank. Okay, what do we need to do? Right? Like, let's just pretend there's $1 million that wasn't there yesterday. Let's pretend it's there, and let's go act as if. Well, you're going to run into trouble really, really fast. But in our life, we do this all the time. Well, let's pretend, and then whatever belief you have that you haven't really challenged or even thought about, and then you're moving. Well, hey, how do you know that's true? You don't know that that's true. Just because you thought it, it's true? Come on. I mean, that's like ego to the nth degree. We all do it. Why? Because we couldn't live without it, right? Like we couldn't live without making certain assumptions. Okay, so this isn't a bad thing, but you got to be really careful. You believe your own thoughts, you will destroy your life faster than you can imagine.
You know, one of the oh, go ahead, Laurie. Yeah, now I'm ready to talk. Right, go ahead, Laurie-Ann.
So, first of all, I love this topic about stories and about the assumptions that we make all day long. And just like you said, Coach Kevin, that we never say, is this true? We just keep going through our day saying, well, that's got to be true. That's a great mic that he has in front of him. That's why I'm not successful, because I don't have that kind of mic, to be doing my shows. And we like it all day long. And I was actually just having a conversation with somebody this morning and actually said to her, like, stop looking at other people and what they're doing and just stay in your lane and get your business moving.
Beautiful. Love it. And I mean, I'm telling you right now that something so simple as what you just said, when you really look at it, like whatever assumptions you have in business, whatever the story is that you're telling yourself, if you just push into it a little bit, right? We all are running around like Buzz Lightyear. I don't know if you guys remember, like maybe I'm getting old, but I don't know if you remember Toy Story, right? And Buzz Lightyear is going to save the universe from Zurg, right? This imaginary toy that's going to destroy us all, but he doesn't know. Like, he's the only one who doesn't know he's a toy. Everyone else is like, hey, bro, we're toys. Like, okay, yeah, that's your story, but we're toys. But Buzz has no idea that he's a toy. Right now, it's a great plot line and it's a fun story to watch, but we're kind of like that. Like, we are making it up as we go along. Like, I see that, is it Gail? Yeah, Gail Craft, right? Reality is a projection of what you believe to be true. Yes, we're projecting it all the time. Here's the thing, though. Like, I can't fix that for you, right? So some people are going to think, well, great, Coach Kevin, then teach me how to see what is true and not what I'm projecting. Not possible. Okay, because you're the projector of your life no matter what, right? So you're never going to stop telling stories. I see people all the time like, let's eliminate stories. Well, there's one way to do that for sure, and that's just to die. Like, you're never going to eliminate stories. It's how your brain works. It's how your mind works. Like, stories are not to be eliminated. The question is, are you telling the story of your life? Are you telling the story of your business? Are you telling the story of your family on purpose? Have you really considered it and thought, hey, here's who I want to be, and here's the story I'm going to tell, right? There are some things happening, right? Because like, all of our perceptions are going to come down to some truth at some point, right? If there's a brick wall in front of you, you close your eyes and you choose to believe it's not there and you run full speed, you're still going to break your nose. This is not about La La Land. This is about, something happens to you, right? So I think it was Seneca who said that it was either Seneca or Marcus Aurelius, that what hurts you when you're slapped in the face is not the slap in the face. It's the belief that you ought not to have been slapped in the face. In fact, all sorts of people have all sorts of feelings about all sorts of different slaps in their life. But the belief that, hey, you shouldn't have hit me, that's what really hurts, right? And as we start changing those beliefs, then we can start living a more powerful and purposeful life. We can start doing it on purpose. Yeah.
So are you saying we change the story?
You can, if you want to, or you can believe the same thing, but having considered that maybe it's not true. Right. So I can say, hey, I love my wife unconditionally. And I'm going to show you guys, we've created a tool, right? So I've created a tool at Forge Legend called the Spark. And the Spark, like, it's rooted in some of the work of Byron Katie. I can tell Gail's been there for sure. It's rooted in some other things, it merges a few different things. But the main purpose of the Spark is to get you questioning your stories and to get you telling some other stories, like using your mind as the tool that it is, right? Like, working out your mind so it just doesn't give you the default thing that comes to you right away, like whatever immediate thing that you think, right? So like Stephen Covey tells a story about paradigm, right? And he talks about there's a man and he's in I think a subway, and he's coming home. There's this other guy in the subway and his kids are there, and the kids are just freaking going crazy. They're jumping all over and they're yelling. And this man's trying to be patient, but man, this guy just has no check on his kids. And he finally just says, sir, could you control your kids, right? And the man looks at him with tears in his eyes and says, like, you're right. I just can't figure out how to tell them their mom died, right? So this Stephen Covey uses to show you, like, this paradigm, right? That what I thought was true is these kids are unruly, suddenly gets informed with more of the story and more of the truth. And now it's like, wow, they're unruly. Cool. You know what? Their mom just died. I'll let them do whatever they want. But we can give those to ourselves. We can do that to ourselves. We don't need someone else to tell us something we didn't know. And even if I continue to believe the thing, so stories I've questioned many times is, I love my wife unconditionally. That's a story I tell myself. Very untrue. Very untrue. I can think of 1,000 conditions, right? Like I walk downstairs from the office in a minute and she's like naked with 2 other guys. Suddenly there's conditions, right? Like I can say I love her unconditionally, but the reality is when I really consider it, is that true? I think so. As unconditionally as I'm able to be, right?
To that moment, right?
Well, not even to that moment. Just in general, there's probably some conditions there. Now, what do I choose to believe after? Do I choose to change that story? No, I'm going to hold that. I'm going to try to help myself be more and more unconditional with my love, but I'm doing it very informed. I'm doing it understanding that, hey, there's a lot of different possibilities here. And I am a force of nature, but I'm not the only one. And depending on what happens with those forces of nature, hey, who knows? Right? We are going to move forward powerfully. Like we're imperfect, but we can be powerfully imperfect. Right? So someone here, let's see, the LinkedIn user, hello, LinkedIn user, says, how often does your perception change on one subject during the day? Sure, exactly. Hey, confidence. Are you confident? Do you know, are you going to kick ass today? Right? Like ask yourself that question every 10 minutes for the whole day and give an honest answer. It's going to be all over the place. And that's okay. That's as it is. And when we get into situations, we need to realize that that can happen as well. When we get to where we question our own stories, we can actually start to learn the lessons that life is giving us so we can grow and move forward in our life. So when we start to question and we start to be able to accept people who have different opinions without being mad at them. Someone who believes the opposite of me suddenly isn't a threat, but someone who holds a different perception that may have some value. And I can kind of be like, okay, cool. Well, you're seeing that a little different than me. I don't really choose to see it that way, but all right, awesome. What's good there? Here's what's good in mine. Let's move forward, which is kind of a dying art in our country, unfortunately.
100%. And I think that conversation, being able to really listen to other people, just like you said, is dying. And there's an art form to that as well. And that's how we learn about not only ourselves, but about other people. But I just want to touch back on something, and I'm not sure if I've mentioned this before on the show, but I actually set up like a Zapier text message that shows up on my phone like every day, like at 7 a.m. that reminds me that every thought is a bullshit story. So tell yourself the right story. And it's just to like remind me that like when I encounter, like, for example, something that's hard, like I used to walk away from things that were hard. But then I started telling myself a different story that, you know what, I can do hard things. I just don't know how to, I haven't figured it out yet. So I can do hard things.
Let me tell you, Laurie, about my marathon, the first marathon that I finished, right? I'm not exactly built to be a marathon runner. Like when you show up in the 310-pound division of marathons, there's not very many dudes there. Just a couple crazy guys who are like fist bumping, like, see you, man. Right? Like it's just, my body doesn't want to run them, but I love it and I run them, right? So my first marathon, I was really nervous. I hadn't trained the way I ought to have trained in my mind anyway. But I was excited, showed up, got there, the starting line. And man, when I started that race, I'm going to finish this. I'm going to kick this race's ass. Like just like everybody, there's thousands of people taking off at the same time. I'm feeling great. 3 miles in, I'm feeling less great, but I got this. I will not forget mile 21. Mile 21 was the longest mile. I'm sorry, mile 21. Hold on, I'm getting ahead of myself. Mile 14, I'm starting to think, I don't know if I can do this.
Yeah,
right?
You lost me at double digits.
Yeah, well, mile 14, I'm starting to think, I don't know if I can do this, right? And I have a buddy who's running, and at this particular course, mile 14 and 21 were the same spot. So he's 7 miles ahead of me, right? And I see him and I'm like, hey man, we hug each other. I'm like, dude, I'm looking at the time, like, you are kicking ass, man. This is awesome. He's like, yeah, I feel good. He takes off, right? I get running. I'm starting to drag ass, like about mile 21 or so. I start to really die. In fact, it's kind of funny. And whoever this guy is, one day he's going to hear this story. And I'm sorry in advance. So literally what starts happening is I've been tracking with this guy for a few miles. He's probably like 10 yards ahead of me. And he sits down on the grass. And so he sits down And then by the time I get to him, which is only like 10 yards, so it's not, he's asleep on the grass. And in my state of mind at mile 21 of this first marathon, I'm angry. I'm like, dude, I want a nap. Like, what the hell are you doing? Like, why are you taking a nap? Like, I never have what would be the more rational thought, which is, hey, this guy might be in trouble. Like, that's not normal to sit down and fall asleep. That, like, he's running a marathon. He might be like, maybe I should call someone. No, I don't have that thought at all. I'm angry. I'm like, dude, I want a nap. Like, don't have a nap right in front of me. What's wrong with you? Right? So it wasn't until months later that I thought, man, he might have been in trouble. I probably should have had a different.
Could have been having a heart attack, and you're just like, you lazy bum.
Yeah. So we get to mile 24. Mile 24 of my marathon was the first marathon, was the fastest mile. I ran that in like just over 9 minutes, which I had no business running that fast inside of a marathon. Why? Because I realized I'm gonna finish. Like, that was the moment. I was like, I'm doing this. Like, this is, 2 miles. Who cares? I got this. So I blasted it. I just took off in happiness, right? My mindset is, I got this, man. I ran. It went over a little bridge. Who even cares? Uphill, downhill, doesn't matter. I'm finishing this thing. Now, the slowest mile of my marathon was mile 25, which took damn near 25 minutes, half of which was me sitting there thinking, I'm going to be the first guy in the history of the marathon who can see the finish and quit. Not because someone took me off the course. I can't do it. I'm looking at the finish line. It's right there. Like, because I had no business running as fast as I did, right? My beliefs were all over. Well, here's the punchline is I finished the damn race. So here's a story I told at the finish line, right? It's my first marathon. My incredible wife is there. She's been like prepping with me. She was there at 5 a.m. So I get to the finish line. Of course, who naturally am I looking for? My wife. Like, I want to celebrate. Like, I finished. She's not there. I'm like, what? Like, I just ran for however many hours and you're not at the finish line. I'm looking over, and at first I'm sad. I'm like, man, what happened? Is something wrong with her? Unfortunately, like, not like the other guy. I thought about her maybe having a problem, right? What's wrong with her? Where is she? Is she in trouble? And then I start getting angry. She's probably hanging with her friends and she forgot. Like, my wife forgot me at the finish line. And I'm having all of these thoughts come, right? And then the metal comes to get onto my neck. Like, the person is putting the metal on my neck, and the person who puts the metal on my neck kisses my cheek, which is, I don't know if you've done a lot of races. That's not a normal thing to get a kiss. Why? Because she had snuck on the course and was waiting there with my medal the whole time that I'm looking around saying she didn't make it. She's literally standing right in front of me with the medal. She had talked to the race guys and letting her give me the medal. How true are my stories about that? Nothing. Yes. Whoever said triathlon next, absolutely. Finish the Ironman 70.3. At one point, I'm going to do the full Ironman. I don't say Ironman, the half Ironman, because I'll tell you 70.3 miles is not half of anything. If you've ever done it, it is not half of anything. I've done that. I actually did the Ironman 70.3 before the marathon, weirdly enough, right? But yeah, here's my wife with the medal in front of me. And what's my story? She's not even here.
Right.
I'm angry, right? Of course, that flipped really, really quickly, right? Now, what is the harm in that? The harm in that is I'm going to start creating my life in a direction that isn't based on reality and that doesn't serve me. I could have even gotten in a fight with her right then. It turned out I was wrong, so it was really easy for me to forgive me about having the wrong thought. But imagine, like, if I didn't see her and then I'm like, where were you? Most people have signs, like all these dumb things that you do in a marriage, but all driven by stories. Whether or not I was going to finish the marathon, my thoughts had very little to do with that. Yes, my mindset mattered. Yes, having positive thoughts matters. But my thought about whether that was going to happen or not at any given moment was not necessarily true or false. And taking our own thoughts way too seriously is a big problem. If you try to live your life and create results inside of business or anything else without metrics, you're just living on feelings, and you're going to have a big problem because feelings are fickle, and by design, they move all over the place. You can only feel a certain thing for a certain amount of time. So you had better start challenging your own stories, if that makes sense. I'm gonna shut up for a second. I got something to show you guys. I brought like a little object lesson here today. I'm gonna screw with the hosts a little bit if they'll let me, just to make a point about how what we are thinking by default is almost never true.
No, absolutely. And For those of you guys watching right now, first off, we want to know what you're thinking. By all means, continue to drop in your comments or any questions. Also, we want to make sure that you stay in touch with us and that you know when we're going live with these types of trainings. We do this every week. We're adding more. Coach Kevin and I are about ready to start a new podcast coming Mondays, Language of Leadership. We're going to be getting into things even deeper, where we're going to be bringing in leaders and business owners that want to really engage in these questions directly with Coach Kevin. I'm really looking forward to that. So first off, if you want to be a part of our community and get notified when we go live, I do not use this for spam because I don't really have time to check it. I just send information out to you. Text lunch, 316-799-8052, 316-799-8052. Just text me. I do get it on my phone, and I'll answer you back and let you know. For those of you outside of the U.S., we are setting up a way for you guys to get emails and get notified that way. So that's coming soon. All right, so I'm going to get back into this. Coach Kevin, the stories that we tell ourselves can be the greatest attributing factor to how we move forward in our life. It's also the way we can literally create the worst fears and disasters in our life as we live out these stories, right? So how do we get past this? Because it's easy to say when you're in a position of strength, but when the story is coming over and over again, and you have now convinced yourself in your story, and in your story itself becomes another story of I'll never be able to get past this. This is going to be my life. How do you break that cycle? What is the tool that we can use? Because we talk about the one secret. We are the greatest interference of our growth, right? Would you agree? Our mind literally is our biggest enemy, but is also our greatest strength. Am I wrong in saying that? Would you give me to it?
I think that, yeah, I mean, I think that my ego will protect me from my own greatness. Like if I'm not careful, my mind will protect me from my own greatness because I'm ultimately going to be cautious about new things, especially things that could lose me status or money or any number of things. So my mind is going to always try to keep me in the status quo because that's my comfort zone. But remember, comfort zone, I think it gets kind of skewed, right? Feel like, well, I'm happy to be uncomfortable, but you may be comfortable being uncomfortable to a certain degree. It's the safety zone that really screws us up because we're trying to stay safe, but everything new in life is not safe by design because we've never experienced it, right? And this also explains why people at different strata, right, of society, really poor people are angry at really rich people are angry that poor people don't understand them, and they're both right. Because, hey, if you've never been rich, there's a lot of problems you have when you're rich that you don't have when you're poor, right? Like, there's not a bunch of people trying to fall over on your yard to be able to sue you every day and try to take what you have. It's different problems. It's not better or worse, but there's just different problems there. So if I'm not careful, my mind will protect me from my own greatness. And so if you want something new in your life, you're going to have to go do something you haven't done. Your mind will immediately say, well, that's dangerous. We don't know about that. This is why, for those of you who find yourself going into the same bad relationship over and over and over, and you don't understand why, well, I have a hard truth for you.
You're the common denominator.
It's because you're a coward. You're not, people talk about the fear of failure and the fear of success, right? And this is like this is some big, deep conversation. I think it's a fear of success. No, you're just afraid of new stuff. You're just afraid of something you don't know. If failure and success are typically the same thing, it's just something you haven't experienced. There is no possibility of success without failure. Period. You can't fly without possibly falling. That is not possible, right? So when we say, well, I'm afraid of success, you're just afraid of new stuff. You're just being a coward. Take courage.
Call it what it is. Call it what it is.
What it is. I hate it because I'm the same thing. I wish I was different. Right? Like someone asked, what do I most want you to ask? Ask whatever you want. Like I ask what you want to know. Like have the courage to ask what you want to know. Ask a new question, not the one that's safe that'll make you sound like some really smart person. Ask the question you really want the answer to.
Yeah, expose it, right? Expose the breakdown. So what I want to do, and hopefully this will inspire, and it'll give a little insight to the tools that you developed. And I've known you, Coach, for quite a few years, and I know that this development process has come with literally tens of thousands of coachings of individuals, groups, men, women, married, not married, doesn't matter. So this comes with as much data as physically possible, and I know the power of it. I would love for you to bring that here live. Can we do that? Lori, are you up for this?
You know that, Rigo. I've been asking you about this. So
here's what I want to do, Coach. Here's what I'm going to do for a second. I'm going to be here, but so that everybody gets this full experience. Donnie, what I need you to do is you're going to pull me out, and I want you to have a split screen with Coach Kevin and Laurie-Ann, so that way they can work through this. And I want everyone to watch the process, and I want you guys to get to experience the emotion and the face and everything, right? I don't want to rob anybody from this.
Before we do that, because I'm ready to just dive all the way in that, and if we're lucky, we might even be able to get Rigo up here for a little.
We'll see. I'm down.
Nervous. He's like, yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, yes.
So someone asked a question.
Yeah.
So I said, hey, ask whatever you want. Someone asked a question. I want to definitely hit on this. How does Kevin deal with the run of failures, right? Okay, here's what I want to ask you, whoever you are. Hopefully you know what baseball is, but I'll give you a second one too. Why do people who play baseball go to the batting cages? To fail a bunch, to miss a bunch of balls, to figure out how to do it, to hit it this way, to hit it that way. They strike out a lot too, yeah, but more than that, they go to a place where it's fine to fail. Arnold Schwarzenegger, go watch Pumping Iron. Okay, it's like a really old bodybuilding movie. It might be the first bodybuilding movie.
Great one too, by the
way. Amazing. Go watch. What does he do to get that physique? Fails again and again and again and again. There's this great scene where his workout partner passes out, and his response is to step over him and add his own weights. Like that. And when the camera crew is kind of like, hey, he's like, this is it. This is what sets us apart, is we go to failure every time. Okay, he failed. Okay, I have to throw up. Like literally, he worked out with a bucket next to him. All right, I have to throw up, but I'm going to finish my workout. I threw up. That doesn't mean I'm not done with my workout. That was a failure, right? Failure is how you build the growth to succeed. There is no success without failure, period.
But Coach Kevin, what we're talking about, like with Arnold's movie, I mean, like his story about failure is different. Like, what is our story about failing? Is it that we're unworthy or something?
Exactly.
Maybe that's where we need to start changing, is change our story about what failure actually means to us.
So, but when you understand how your muscles grow, you are doing 85% of the workout of the elite bodybuilders, but they're going 4 to 10 seconds longer than you, and that's where all the growth is. All the growth is in the failure. You're not willing to fail. You're not willing to drop in a squat, and they are. And that's why they're getting growth that you've never imagined. And here's the crazy part, is you're actually doing 85 to 90% of the work. You're just not doing the 10% that matters. So you're as tired as they are, but they get the result because they just go a little more. It's really, when you look at it, it's 5, 10, 15, 13 seconds. It's the last 3 or 4 reps. Right. So when someone says, when you have a long series of failures, I just don't have those. Like, I see those as part of my growth. Right. There are things I can't succeed at. Right. So, for example, like the marathon, if I was going to try to win the marathon, it's not going to happen. And so I will not even begin those things that I think, okay, look, that growth doesn't serve me. That, there are things that, like, I just don't want to be that. I'm not going to train to go win a marathon. I'm just not. There's a lot of reasons for that. And maybe they're wrong or they're right. It's just not who I am. But that's not a failure. That's just me choosing who I am. I can be anything, and you can be anything, but you can't be everything. This is very important to understand who you are and who you're not. Now, I want to come back, but hey, I said ask whatever question you want. Thank you, whoever you are, LinkedIn user. I appreciate it.
And I want to drop something in. There was a comment made here. See, who was it? I'm trying to catch up. Man, that's great. I love your comments, by the way. Thank you guys very much. Gail says, shame is the killer, and you're absolutely right. Gail, that's the whole aspect of this. From what I know in working with Coach Kevin, the guilt and shame are the things that we carry because of these stories, right? And this is the whole aspect of why we need to understand the power of changing this. Look, here's what I'm going to do. Okay, so I'm going to take, you guys continue to comment, but Donnie, what we're going to do is we're going to take the comments off the screen. We will bring them up here in a little bit, but I'm going to take the comments off the screen. I'm going to give Coach Kevin and Laurie-Ann, we're going to give you the spotlight. All right? We're going to go into this.
Listen, I'm saying it right now. Gail and Akeem, we're coming back to the shame thing and also to the overcome laziness. It's not laziness, bro. You're just scared. It's just.
Yep.
It's
All
just
right. So we're coming back to you. All right. Fantastic. All right, Donnie.
Yeah.
Let's pull me out.
All right, here we go. So, Laurie, look, I'm going to walk you through this. We're going to kind of do this quickly, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have a tool called the Spark. The Spark is really designed to get you what you want and to really analyze like what is going on in your life and what are the lessons that you want to learn from what's going on. And the Spark all starts in something you believe is true. Mm-hmm. Like the Spark starts with like a thought that I believe most of the time for me is something that is agitating me. Right today, believe it or not, I mean, this isn't the reason this isn't plugged in because it wasn't plugged in anyway. But actually, I moved offices yesterday. So when I woke up this morning, my entire rig of I don't know how many pieces was all over the floor. And I was like, I'm not going to get this done. Like this podcast is going to suck because I'm not going to get this done. Right. Well, what's a great thing to ask myself? Well, is that true? And then it starts a whole series of questions that I'm going to walk you through shortly here. So here's my question to you in business and life, whatever you want to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whatever you want to do live in front of whoever knows who, right?
Okay.
What is the biggest agitation or frustration you have right now?
Not feeling ready, not feeling good enough.
Okay, I like that. So like, how would you say that if you were talking to your girlfriend or your husband or whoever and be like, I'm what?
I think if I was talking to a girlfriend, I would just say, like, I probably would cover it up with something like a procrastination tactic, but I'm just like, but if I had to like peel back the layer, it would just be like, I don't feel worthy.
Okay. So is it, I don't feel worthy? Is it, I'm not enough? Is it, I can't do this? Like, what is it? Like, just right now, you don't have to think hard about it. It's what comes, it's important. These are your words. So you're going to hear me ask you a lot of check questions.
Not good enough.
I'm not good enough. Perfect. I'm not good enough. All right. So give me 3 reasons that that's true. Give me 3 proofs. Like prove it, right? Like let's say you're in court, right? And there's a judge and he's like, hey, well, what's your evidence? You're not good enough. Give me 3 evidences. Laurie is immediately thinking, why did I pick this one?
But I also know that if I picked anything, like you would still like Coach Kevin is now turned into the Judge Kevin. And I don't have I already know that I don't have good evidence. It's just that.
Okay, but you do have some evidence. What's something you didn't do well at in life? Like maybe you tried to be a ballerina, it didn't work out. Like there's definitely some evidence that you're not good enough for everything. What is it?
Yeah, I've said things that in the past, like here's a goal that I wanted and I didn't achieve it. So I've got evidence that I can't achieve goals.
Perfect.
I've got evidence that I don't do what I say I'm going to do.
Okay, awesome.
Which is a little bit different than the
I'm going to floss every day, right? You ever told your
What'd you say?
I said, you ever told your dentist, I'm going to floss every day?
Yes. Yes. And I don't. And then I have like a list of daily activities and that things that I like to check off that I've done so that I stay healthy, so that I keep moving forward in my business. And a lot of times, like I see like, yep, didn't do that yesterday. Didn't do that yesterday.
Perfect. These are all evidences that you aren't enough. And we could go on like your mind. This is going to be easy for your mind to prove. But what's really interesting, right? Your mind's going to play a fun game with us right now. Your mind, it's in charge of taking all the data that you're getting in and telling you what it means. Yeah. So it creates a story, right? Some people will tell you that like something happens and then your mind is lightning fast. It tells a story and then you have feelings after that, right? The biology is totally off in that. This is what really happens. Something happens to you, your subconscious mind has a feeling about it. The feelings come first. Then your mind justifies the feeling, right? Like you get punched, you think, right? Your mind, your body feels, whoa, who's punching me? And your mind is like, I'm getting whoever punches me, right? If you're a fight person, or I need to run away if you're a flight person, or freeze, go catatonic if you're a freeze person. Yeah. But the feelings come first. Our mind is not a scientist that figures out what's true. Our mind is a giant lawyer who justifies everything we already feel, essentially, biologically speaking, right?
I get that.
So easiest job here is for your mind to prove why you're not enough, because your original story is what? Go ahead, say it again.
I'm just not good enough, not worthy of something.
Perfect. I think thousands of people, first off, you're brave for doing this live, and thousands of people can relate with that. Everybody almost. Everybody. Okay, so it's easy to prove, but did you notice when I said, can you prove it? What was the first thing you started to say? I don't know if I can. Why? Because your mind's job, yes, it's to create the story of your life, and its main function beyond that is to keep you safe. And if you honestly think about how you're not enough, well, that's dangerous. I don't want to do that. Right?
And in front of people.
Perfect. So one of the things about this process is it's about strengthening the mind. It is a process because we're going to tell the mind, hey, you're going to do some work for me. You, mind, work for me. I'm not you. I don't work for you. I'm not a slave to you. You work for me. So thank you, mind. Like just like we do when we work out, we tell our hands, our arms, our biceps, whatever muscle we're working on, hey, you work for me. Do some work. We're doing the same thing with our mind right now. Cool. So you have proved, right? Proved the original story. Let's ask a very important question. Okay. And Gail's ahead of the game on this one. I saw it in her comments. Ready? So go ahead and say your default version again.
That I'm not good. I'm not good enough.
Is that true?
No.
Is it even possible for you to know if that's true?
No.
Perfect. Cool. So that's some good feedback. Asking yourself, is this true, is great feedback, right?
Yes.
My wife is a selfish bitch who hates me, right? Like I have that thought. I'm like, is that true? No. But do I think I can feel it right now because she like took the wrong car? Like, so it's funny how negative we can go about some dumb thing, right?
Yes.
So we've asked that. So let's put your mind to work, Laurie-Ann. You've already said I am not good enough, right? So let's tell your mind, hey, mind, thanks for that story. Give me the opposite story. So what is the opposite? Now remember, this is the story in the exact same words on the opposite.
So I am good enough.
Perfect. Now, thank you, mind, for a new story. Now watch what happens here. Mind, give me 3 evidences that I am good enough.
And I can suddenly start to come up with a list. I've got over 20 years of experience of being a coach. I've been a professional, well-paid speaker. I'm an award-winning speaker. I've written several books. I've coached people from around the world. I've achieved so many damn goals that we don't have enough time on this show to go through all of them.
You're over 30 and you have a really pretty smile. You are on this podcast willing to talk about I'm not good enough. These are all evidences that you're enough. Like that, really, truly, like that's pretty amazing, right? Awesome. So we could go on, right? So cool. So we have now the default version and the opposite version, which amazing, right? Like it's almost like your mind was created just to justify whatever you feel. Look how easy that was. Now we're going to go to another version. We're going to say, hey, mind, we're not done here. We're not done. One other version is not enough. We're going to do at least 3, right? So here we're going to do the me version. Now this is going to be a little complicated, but I'll walk you through it. No problem. The me version. Now the me version is easy. If your original story was my wife's a bitch, right? And my wife, I do this training with her all the time. Don't worry, guys. She's going to watch this and she's going to love it, right? Then the me version would be Kevin's a bitch. It's like, ooh. And that's really easy to prove, right? But so the me version for you, because I'm not good enough, right?
Yeah.
Perfect. So for you, you can't say I, like you can't replace I because you're already, that's cool. So you're just going to take the word enough and change it with your name.
I'm going to say that again. I'm going to change
the word. What's your default story?
I'm not good enough.
And what's your opposite story?
I am good enough.
And now you're going to just change the word enough with your name. Just simple. Just put your name in there.
I am Laurie-Ann. That's what you're saying?
Nope. What was the default version?
I'm not good enough.
And so just change the word enough with your word. Now, here's what happens. Your mind doesn't want to play this game because it's getting increasingly uncomfortable. I'm taking you to newer and newer places. So it's pretending like it's confused because everyone else is like, it's so simple. But when you're on the hot seat,
I'm not. All right. All right.
So I am not.
All right. So it's almost like I'm stepping away from myself and I'm talking about myself.
No. Whoever put that in the chat is wrong. Okay. I'm not good enough.
I'm not good enough.
So just change your name. This is so everyone who's watching, her mind right now is going crazy because it wants to be right, because it needs to be right to keep her safe. There's no way to be right in this. There's just do what I say, and that's all there is, right? So it's trying to find a really complicated solution to something simple. So if you're not Laurie-Ann right now, it's like, hey, he just said 3 times, just put your name in the place of the word enough. But if you're her, there's a whole different thing going on. The mind is aware that we're about to see something new about ourselves. And it's like, shit, this could be dangerous because this is new. It could be good, but it could be bad. And we're live.
Yeah, no kidding.
Right?
And I could totally get this wrong. So like my part of my brain, you're saying change the word enough
to your name.
My name. So then then it's just I am Laurie-Ann.
What was your original story? Watch how your mind is protecting you right now. What was your default story?
My original story was I'm not good enough. So you want me to say I am not Laurie-Ann?
Perfect. So I'm not Laurie-Ann. Perfect. Okay, good. This seems really uncomfortable. And your mind's like, that could never be right, right? Even though that's what I said 4 times in a row.
Well, right. And I'm also trying to predict what direction we're going in.
I get it.
We really do, like everybody,
So
we didn't plan this at all.
Yeah, exactly. This user's like, I'm following along, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's great, right? Here's the thing. Normally, I wouldn't suggest you do something that starts with I on your first time doing this, but that's okay. I'm not Laurie-Ann.
I'm not
Give
Laurie-Ann.
me 3 evidences of this, and I can already give you 1. That's the best part.
I got to give you 3 pieces of evidence that I'm not Laurie-Ann.
Super easy. I bet the people in the chat could give us some evidence of this. Super easy if you want to look at it, but your mind doesn't because you have a lot invested in being Laurie-Ann. Give me 3 evidences that you're not. Here, let me show you this. All right, ready? I'll give you the first one for free.
Okay.
When I believe I'm not good enough, I'm not being really Laurie-Ann. I'm being some little bitch version of Laurie-Ann. So I'm not Laurie-Ann.
What? Oh my God, I am so confused.
Amazing, right? Wham. Easy.
When I'm not good enough, I'm not being the best version of Laurie-Ann.
Perfect. Because when I don't believe I'm good enough, I'm not being Laurie-Ann.
Okay, so when I'm not good enough, I'm not sharing my talents with the world. When I'm not good enough, there's a lot of people who are missing out on sharing their greatness because I'm part of their journey.
What happens? Watch this. This is all I have done. People are going to think I have magic powers. All I have done is listen to you. What happens when you don't check off all those little boxes you like to check each day?
I'm just judging myself.
Right. And then
I'm not good enough.
I'm not allowing myself to be my full self in 2 ways. 1, I didn't do the stuff I said makes me my full self. And then 2, I'm taking a crap on myself instead of just being myself.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. 3rd evidence that you're not Laurie-Ann.
I thought I gave 3. All right. Enough. You're like more. Okay. When I'm not good enough, when I'm not being Laurie-Ann and I'm getting confused on my words again. I'm just not enjoying life.
Okay. But prove to me, notice your mind went somewhere else because it's no fun to do what I'm asking you to do. Prove to me 1 other evidence that you're not yourself.
That I'm not myself.
Here's a hint.
Yeah.
When you were 14, were you the same woman you are today?
No.
When you were married, were you the same woman you are today?
No.
You've grown, right?
Yeah.
So are you the same person?
No.
Will you be the same Laurie-Ann tomorrow?
No.
So help me understand how you're not Laurie-Ann.
I can't.
Well, think about it. You're not the same person you always were. So even though you're Laurie-Ann today, that's not Laurie-Ann yesterday. So you can just be creative with this.
So then I could actually just be a different Laurie-Ann in 5 minutes.
Yes, or in 2 seconds.
Next minute. Yes.
And so when you're not good enough, it's like, dang, I must have thought something I'm not good enough. And we're going to come back to the shame thing because whoever talked about shame, I got a really key thing for them. And it hits right into your subject, right? We're not going to be able to get Rigo on the hook. So you guys are just letting it go. So we're going to do 1 other version. That's awesome. You proved the default version, which is what?
The default version was I'm not good enough.
And then we proved the opposite version, which is?
I am good enough.
And then we proved the me version, which is?
That I am not Laurie-Ann.
Perfect. And now we're going to do something else. We're going to say, hey, what's the chosen version? Right? So this is very interesting. So this is where this starts to really diverge from the work because I can see some people in the comments have seen the work from Byron Katie. I love the work by Byron Katie. If you haven't read the book, The Work by Byron Katie, or like there's all these other books she's written. They're all really good. Like highly recommend watching her on YouTube, all that stuff. Here's where this starts to be different, right? That is really good at getting you to accept where you are and what is, like loving what is. That's the name of her, I think, first book, or at least one of the ones I read, right? The chosen version is about what do you wish was true? If anything in the world could be true, but in the same format as the first sentence. So we start with, I'm not enough, or I don't, what is it? What was your
I'm
default?
not good enough. I'm
I'm
not
not good enough. What do you wish was true? If you could say anything in the world, what would you say?
that I am good enough.
Yeah, but I mean, you could say anything in the world. This is like a blank check. You just want to be good enough?
I'm extraordinary.
Perfect. I'm extraordinary. Now, give me 3 evidences that that's already true. Beyond the fact that you went all in on this, which almost no one ever does. Like when you said, I'm not good enough, I was like, am I going to let her do this? Because most people will just back out. Like I've had people turn their camera off when we're doing this.
I'm like not even looking at the comments because I don't want anything to distract me. I feel like it's just the two of us sitting together.
So that first off, like from my perspective, is extraordinary. Right? So give me 3 evidences that you're extraordinary.
I'm tenacious. I actually, when I set my mind to something, I figure out everything's figure outable. I always figure out some sort of a workaround.
Perfect.
I'm creative.
What else?
I'm loving.
What else?
Generous.
What else?
I'm funny.
Perfect. Now let's think about, tell me all 4 of the versions that we just went through, right? Here's the thing. All we did was put your mind to work. We just let your mind do what it already did. Now we have 4 that we use as a default because it works really well. You could do this 1,000 times. You could do the Kevin version. Kevin's not good enough. Now prove it. You could do whatever. It doesn't matter. Your mind is working through your default belief. So of the 4 beliefs, I want you to say all 4 of them, and I want you to tell me which one matches best who you really want to be in life.
I want to be extraordinary.
Okay, so just tell me all 4 versions, and then tell me which one you pick.
Okay, so the 4 versions was I'm not good enough. Notice how I use past tense. Mm-hmm. I'm not good enough. I am good enough. I am not Laurie-Ann, and I am extraordinary.
And which one conforms to the person you really want to aspire to be?
I am extraordinary.
Awesome. Now, what are you learning right now? Now, this is not about you. If you had to teach the whole world what you're learning right now about yourself, what would you say? How would you say that in like a parable or a lesson? Like if this was Aesop's fables and you're like, oh, the moral of this story is.
Okay, careful what you think. But
okay, perfect. Be careful what you think.
Yeah, wow. And for the people who are watching this, I mean, you saw my body language because I felt this with each 4 of these.
So let me tell you a secret. Yes. I'm going to show you how useful this is. Be careful what you think. Apply that to your fitness. That lesson. So it's no longer about you're not enough, but just like be careful what you think. Why should you be careful what you think when you're headed into a fitness regimen?
Well, first of all, fitness is part of my life. I mean, if I looked over at those weights and thought, oh, those are too heavy for me, then I'm not going to go for it. I'm not even going to challenge myself. I'm not even going to go for failure or even let's see if I can do 1 rep.
Perfect. Now apply it to your marriage. Be careful what you think. Apply that to your marriage. What can you learn?
Then that would mean that my marriage would probably stay at the level that it's at. If that was, unless I have this goal that I want it to constantly grow and flourish as he and I age.
Perfect. So there's a whole bunch of other things we could do here, but I know we're running short on time. Here's the deal. Look what happened. You went from I'm not enough to, hey, be careful what you think, and have a whole different compartment. Now, I want everyone to understand why this happened. Because you saw, the body language was fun to watch through this, and I do this all the time, so I'm kind of blessed to be able to do this, right? Why did you believe I'm extraordinary? If I had just got on this call and said, Laurie-Ann, you're extraordinary, you'd have been like, thank you, and it's gone, and we're just going.
Sweet.
Right. Why do you think you believed it?
I think part of it, like you took me through the mud, so to speak.
Okay.
I mean, like it was a process. So I went through the mud. I went through that dark part about how I'm not good enough, and then what was the opposite.
Whose story?
And then separating me from it.
Who made up all 4 of the stories? And this is why I was so like, well, what would you say? What would you say? Because if I say it, we've ruined the whole game. So who made it up?
Me.
but a very specific part of you. Which part?
Subconscious.
Your mind, right? And
Yeah,
your subconscious. It starts working together because you get
Yeah.
out of like your natural idea. Watch this. Here's what's crazy, right? If you remember the movie Toy Story, and I know some of you guys are too young, go watch it. It's great. Buzz Lightyear's convinced that he's saving the universe. Woody is trying to get him to get in a car to get back to Andy's house, and Buzz won't go. And finally, Woody says, "Hey, Buzz, that's a spaceship. It's going to take us to Zurg." So he gets Buzz to do what he wants him to do for Buzz's own reasons. The reason you had this whole reaction like you had is because your mind made up the story, all four of them. So once you picked one, it was already yours. Your mind, okay, has to be right. Why? Because it's the way you survive. And so if it's wrong, you'll die. That's how it thinks, right? It's not really true, but that's how it thinks, right? So because all four stories were yours, then you had space to choose who you wanted to be. So for the guy, I want to go right into this because we're going to run out of time, and I want to give you guys time to wrap up. For whoever said, "Hey, how do you deal with shame?" Here's the deal: guilt and shame. Guilt is you saying, "I don't want to do this anymore." Shame is other people saying, "You ought not to do that anymore." The resolution to guilt and shame is the same. No guilt, no shame, new choices. You make new choices. I feel guilty that awesome. Make some new choices. Don't got to feel guilt anymore. The value of the guilt is to get me to make a new choice. Someone said I shouldn't be something, right? Like my youngest daughter just came out as gay. Love it. But someone said, "Oh, you ought not to be a lesbian," right? Well, her new choice can be, "I reject that." And my new choice is I reject the thought that that's a problem. Awesome. And if I agree, though, if someone said you ought not to be fat and I agree with them, okay, new choices. What am I going to do with my nutrition or my exercise or whatever? No guilt, no shame, new choices. Guys, this tool, the Spark, which is available in our app and other places, and I train on it. There's levels to using this thing, white belt to black belt, right? It will transform your life. It will get you living on purpose and I can't promise Laurie-Ann's exact smile because it's pretty damn good. But
Award-winning, by the way.
Award-winning.
It is an award-winning smile. I love that about Laurie-Ann.
I believe this.
Right? When she told me, I was like, "Oh, yeah, totally. Okay."
Yeah, it's true. I won a smiling contest.
So Gail says something. She says your feelings created your thoughts, right? And in very large part, that's true for us. When you really understand, like your subconscious mind is like an elephant, and your conscious mind is like this little rider on top of the elephant. He's not controlling the elephant. He's just kind of giving suggestions, and the elephant likes the rider. So sometimes the elephant does what it wants. What we do through this process, right, is we let the feelings explore. We give ourselves several different options, and then we go. And look, it is possible to pick the first thing. It is possible to get through all four turns and say, "Oh, wow, yeah, what I originally thought is what I think." But now I'm doing it with a real holistic view. With having looked at everything I want to be and say, "Okay, what I was is what I want to be." That's fine. It's very rare, though. It's very rare that you'll pick what you walked in with because you start to gain perspective. Like, how do you feel right now, Laurie-Ann?
I feel I'm a little tired because I think there was a little bit of an emotional roller coaster here.
It's a workout.
But I feel really good. I feel like I have a choice.
You have a voice and a choice in your own life, which is the secret to all of it. Like that is and what you just did is you worked out your mind and strengthened it. And then tomorrow you do it again. And then tomorrow you do it again. I spark every single day for this reason. So when shit happens to me, I don't just default react. I'm not a slave to reaction. I can choose who I am and who I want to be, and it allows me to live on purpose.
So for those of you that are joining, just catching, listen, if you didn't catch the exercise, this is what I want you to do. As soon as this is done, go back and watch it again, right? So it's right about 30 minutes. So the first 30 minutes were an incredible conversation in the lead up. I want you guys to understand that. This is going to be a training that we'll be expanding here on this show and others. And one of the things, Laurie-Ann, like you absolutely showed courage in that process. And one of the things I've learned through this training with Coach Kevin is simply this: our mind has to be right, and our mind is going to choose a story. So the process is giving it alternate story, giving it a different choice. It's going to be the one that makes the choice. It's our mind that's doing this. So then let our mind go to work, put it to work, and put it to work improving all of the different versions that our mind can come up with and then choosing the one that we really want to live. True or not, it's about the fact that we need to move forward in that process so our mind starts to understand how to work for us, not against us. It works for us, but we've allowed our mind to become the master and we became the slave versus it becoming the mind that we put to work to achieve the best life that we can live. This is incredibly powerful. And Coach Kevin, one of the things I want to make sure that our audience understands is a new challenge that has now come out. It's the Take Courage Challenge, which we are now putting out and implementing. We're going to be putting it on your page, on Coach Kevin's coaching page. We're bringing this out with all the different programs. The MW Partners team is also going through this, and we are also pushing this out because this is one of the most powerful things we've seen. Not only that, Coach, is this right? Like, you guys didn't get to see the app on this, but you want to talk about metrics and how to make sure you're measuring your life. This is where it's at. Because I know for a fact, and I have done tons of coaching, and I have spent literally hundreds of thousands of dollars in the course of my career bettering who I am to do a better job. And I have never seen anything that allows me to have accountability to all the areas of my life that I want to grow in. Whether it's fitness, whether it's business, whether it's my relationships, whether it's my spiritual walk, whatever the case is, it's in there. And I know, Coach, is that right? Are you giving this free with the Take Courage Challenge?
With the Take Courage Challenge, yeah, you get the app included inside of that, and we take you on a deep dive training of the Spark. So the full version of what I just did, a short version of with Laurie-Ann. Look, the Spark takes a long time when we talk back and forth like this. It's really like a 10 to 15 minute exercise on your own. It can be longer if you want it to be, but it doesn't have to be. But yeah, it's really something valuable, really something special. Guys, I just want to thank you for being here. For everyone who's watching, I want to thank you for doing that, giving us your energy to feed from. And I want to tell you guys that you got to have me back, because I have a whole thing about being not enough. Because being not enough is just a dog chasing its tail. And I can't wait to have the conversation with Laurie-Ann that everyone feels that way. And there's a really good reason for it. It just means you're growing. Thank you, guys. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Coach Kevin, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being here. So listen, you guys, if you found value in today's program, then do us a favor. Let us know. Make sure to follow our pages. Make sure to connect with Laurie-Ann on LinkedIn. Make sure to follow myself. Make sure to get a hold of our YouTube channel where we have all of these and more. We have other lessons where we've had Coach Kevin on. There are literally dozens and dozens of videos with some great speakers and incredible content there that we want to share with you. Coach Kevin's new YouTube page is getting ready to launch. Cannot wait for you guys to see that. The amount of stuff that he has is a bit overwhelming. I'm not going to lie. It is. I've never seen anybody with that much content before in my life. But it's just getting it all together. But you guys, I'm so glad that you were here. Laurie-Ann, my amazing co-host, thank you so much for participating in that exercise. And I really do hope that everybody learned something. Again, you guys, thank you very much. Rigo Murillo with all of my wonderful guests and co-hosts. You guys, God bless. We'll see you guys next week, same time, 1 p.m. Thursday, for our next Contagious Leadership Lunch Talk Series show. Talk to you guys soon. Take care. Thank you, Coach Kevin.